I am at the gym, just leaving the gym, and I figured it'd be the perfect time with nobody around to talk about this stuff. I was watching a thing yesterday on YouTube where the UK was finally starting to recognize the issue with the migrants and all the stabbings and stuff that are happening over there. They said they don't have to have guns on the street. These guys find things to stab people, and they just stab the hell out of people. Then there's a Venezuelan incident where in Indiana at a baseball game, this Venezuelan migrant illegal goes up to some 14-year-old girl and slashes her open. And over the last week in general, all across the United States, there's been this huge uptick in Venezuelan gang activity. Starting their own gangs, Tren de Agua, whatever it is, there's just constantly hearing stuff going on in all these states. Now, is it the media fear-mongering? Is it true? Most people say it's true because they live there and they're reporting back saying this is happening. As we get closer and closer to the election in November, we are going to have more and more problems. And they're hoping for civil unrest so they can stop an election from happening. And they can declare like martial law or something like that. No matter what, it looks like the front runner for this whole entire thing is going to be Donald Trump. I don't care what the Democrats are putting out or the Republicans are putting out, and we need to be worried. Kamala Harris is nobody voted for her before. Why would anybody vote for her now? It's all the money that the Democrats are throwing at people. I think it's just because it's a woman, an Indian woman that claims to be black, that's not black, and because it's a woman and she's of color, that they want her to be the face of the United States of America. And that's not how any of this should be just because she's a woman and she's got color. It's absolutely ridiculous. And they're playing right into this narrative. And all these new people that have popped up, these farmers and sports players and everybody that have never supported her before, now all of a sudden supporting her? Come on, be real here. There's a lot of Democrats that were political supporters for the Biden administration and for Kamala that are no longer their supporters, and they have become conservative supporting just for the simple fact of the economy alone. In our neighborhood, we have seen and heard, especially on the neighborhood group, Facebook group, where cars are getting stolen at 6:30, 7:30 in the morning. People are headed to work. Construction trucks are getting stolen. People's cars are getting broken into more and more. People are getting desperate. And it's going to continue getting worse. Everywhere I go, I'm strapped. Everywhere I go, I have plenty of freedom seat, don't get me wrong. But also at the same time, my home is very well protected as well. I got cameras all over the place. I am very well taken care of, protection-wise at home. And I'm ready for anything that may happen. Now, I'm not telling you all to go out there and start looking for problems and stuff like that, but what I am telling you is you need to have a conversation with your family about the shit that's going on in the world and what may end up happening in your towns here in the near future. Have that conversation with them. It's going to be very difficult to do so. If they're little, you don't need to tell them too much other than just kind of, hey, this may happen. You may see daddy and mommy and
Giving our praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Kakadash. So this is prophecy that this will happen. And this is going into civil arrest, and this is going into the race wars, and pretty much just battling on every forefront, kind of like Mortal Kombat, where it's just going to be like even between families, like he was just saying. Yeah, it's good to think maybe that okay, you and your family could come together and hold it down. Your dad, your mom, your immediate family, maybe a couple uncles and aunties and stuff. But even families are going to be against one another, fighting against one another, right? Now this is Amos 3, straight to the point, right? Verse 6: Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Should there be evil in the city, and the Lord has not done it? So it's saying, look, if it's evil in the city, right? If Jacob's trouble is coming, if it's going to be war against nations, right? Against peoples, let me go to that. Well, then it's the Lord that's doing it. This is how the Lord is setting it up. So it's really no way out of it. Now, does that mean that you can't get prepared or try to get prepared? No, you can try to get prepared the best you can, but like it says right here, Matthew 24, verse 8, all these, verse 6, and ye should hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. All these, sorry about that, I had an interruption. Now, back in Matthew 24, verse 8, verse 6, and ye should hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and should kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. So that's what you're seeing. This is all just a setup. Really the government is behind it. It's all a setup, to bring immigrants in, and then kind of riled up the Edomite militias, and then riled up so-called black people, which are the Israelites, and brown people, which are Israelites, Mexicans, and Spanish, Native Americans, blacks, riled them all up pretty much, so that they could just fight in the streets, and it pretty much could just, I think what's going to end up happening is some cities are going to go down. You know what I mean? And the Bible speaks about that in Second Esdras 15, but in 16. Right, but let me continue in here, right? It says, verse 11, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, so iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. So that's going to be the test, is that you're going to have to endure through all this fire, all this hell on earth. You're going to have to endure through it. And then at the end, the same should be saved. Now, going back to Second Esdras 15. I don't have it in front of me. I got a different Bible. I don't have my actual Bible in front of me, so I just have to quote it. But it says that you're gonna have people against people. You know what I mean? One should desire to go into another city, but it's not gonna be able to. And then neighbors should fight against each other with swords in their hand for the lack of bread, right? So not only are you gonna have war in the streets against gangs and people, right? You're gonna have war against nations, which is gonna cause what? That's gonna cause the grid to go down. That's gonna cause you not to have like utilities, water, electricity, air, lights, right? So that's going to cause things to break down even more, where you're going to have what's called a famine. You're not going to have food, and then that's going to cause people to kill and fight over resources even more, right? Let me see. This is Luke chapter. Let me see. I'm looking for one right now. At the top of my head, I'm in this other Bible, so it's a little bit different than the one I'm used to. Right? But this is what this is all coming to. Let me come back to this one, and let me start at Ezekiel 33, because it's our job to warn you of these things that's happening. It's our job as Israelites and having the truth to go out there and warn our people that this is about to happen, and this is why the games have to stop. You know what I mean? The bullshit has to stop, because this is serious. Some brothers get into this truth thinking it's just a game. Some brothers get into this truth thinking, it's just like competition, like being on a basketball team where you're just competing against other men for positions. You're trying to work your way up in ranks. You're trying to get into this truth to be famous. You know what I mean? You want to get into it to be famous and stuff like that. You want to get notoriety. So that's why some brothers get into this truth. But when I got into this truth, I realized, just reading the Bible, right? Reading the Bible in the spirit, right? I realized that it's this is serious, right? And then I started having visions and dreams, and I started seeing that Man gonna be put to death for this truth. You're gonna be targeted. And when all hell break loose and there's no more police force, no more fire station, when it's just all lawlessness in the streets, then a person could do whatever they want to do to you, right? And the only way you're going to make it through that is if the Lord protects you, you know what I mean, or give you the ability really to protect yourself, you know what I mean? So that's what it's coming down to. And those are going to be scary times. Here's well, let me go back into the book of Luke because I was looking for something. Here's Luke 12. Let me see. Right, verse 52. No, I want to get it straight from the point. Verse 51. Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth. I tell you, nay, but rather division. So you thinking you going to be able to survive and team up with your family? Shit, it's going to be division amongst your family. Because some of them going to take the MOTB, some of them not. Some of them going to want to follow the system, some of them not. Some of them going want to go down to the sanctuary city, the cities that's still up and running with power. But in order to get in those cities, you're going to have to take a jump shot. You know what I mean? You might have to take the MOTB, and you're going to become a slave and servant to that system. But some of them going to be like, nah, let's just live off the grid and survive just our family. But then the mom might be like, no, we need to go down to the FEMA camp. And the FEMA camp is a trap. So you're going to have all that division going on, right? Verse 52. For from henceforth there should be five in one house divided, three against two, and two against three. And the father should be divided against the son, and the son against the father, and the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother, and the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. So that's what you see a lot of times with these doomsday preppers. What you see is that they band together, they'll buy some land, they'll become self-efficient, you know what I mean, self-sustainable, off the grid, and they have a little community there. And it's a movie. I actually seen a movie like this. Right there, their off grid was like somewhere in the mountains with snow, and it was like damn near impossible to get to them. But what ended up happening is the community there started turning on each other and killing each other, because that's usually how it works. So that don't mean that you're safe. You know what I mean? Now back to Ezekiel 33, right? Verse 1. Again, the word of the Lord came into me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of my people, and saying to them, when I bring the sword upon the land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set him for their watchman, right? So that's what we in the spirit, that's what we've been set up, because the Lord gave us the truth. You see what I'm saying? And he gave us the spirit to be able to see these things coming. So we became like watchmen, right? It says, if when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people. So that's what we're doing when you see us on the highways and byways. We blowing that trumpet and we warning our people to get right with the Lord, so the Lord could be there for you, so you could get salvation, so you could get saved from what? What is salvation for? Salvation is for two things. You're getting salvation for the kingdom of heaven. That's on the other side of it. But salvation is from the destruction. Some call it the second death by fire and brimstone. You want to get salvation from that, right? Armageddon, World War III, the second death by fire and brimstone. That's what you're getting saved out of. You're getting saved from death, right? That's what salvation is for. So we warning our people and we're telling you how to get saved from that death that's coming, right? The second death. We telling you, hey, look, this is how you get saved by, having faith in the Lord, right? And walking in the ways the Lord walked in, which is, trying your best to keep the law, statutes, commandments, right? Because faith without works is dead, right? So that's the way. Simple, believe on the Lord, believe on the name. Yahweh is the Father name, Yahweh Shai is the Son name, and that pretty much breaks it down. That's our job, is to tell you that, whether you take it or not, right? It says, right? Verse 3, and when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people. Then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and taketh not warning, so you hearing it, but you ain't taking the warning. If the sword come and take him away, his blood should be upon his own head. Then that's just on you. Verse 5, he heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, his blood should be upon him. But he that taketh warning should deliver his soul. which deliverer goes into what? You salvation, man. You being saved. But if the watchmen see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, so if we don't do this work, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity, and the blood would I require at the watchman's hand. So, like, if you're at the head of a congregation or you're a part of a congregation, you're not warning the people of the destruction that's coming. And when it comes, well, you're going to be responsible for it because you knew this, right? And you could have warned these people, but you decided not to warn them, whether it was for money, whether it was for fame, whether it was for a congregation, whether it was to keep the order and the peace amongst your congregation so they could stay together so you could keep getting the money and the fame. No, but we're not here for that. That's a church. That's a black church. We're not here for that, right? You got to tell them the truth, whether they like it or not, whether it breaks up the congregation or not, because the Lord, we just read it in Luke, that's going to happen anyways. If it's going to happen between a family, what you think is going to happen between the church organization? But you get a lot of these guys, they don't want to tell their church the truth out of fear of it breaking up the congregation, man. So they're trying to keep the congregation together rather than keep the Lord's truth together, right? And I got a precept for that, right? So when that destruction come, their congregation is not going to be ready for it. They still, if the Lord deems them to die, they're still going to die, but the Lord's going to require that blood at the leaders on the leaders hand that could have warned the people but didn't, right? This is Psalms 40 verse 7. But if you do warn them, then the blood is off you, and then it's on them, right? Then if they take heed to it, they could be saved. If they don't, then they not going to endure to the end. They not going to be saved. Psalms 40 verse 7, right? Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written on me. So you got to teach the whole book, not just some of it, right? You can't take certain parts and say, well, we don't want to use those parts, but we're going to use these parts, right? You see a lot of men doing that. I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yeah, thy law is within my heart. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips. O Lord, thou knowest. So preaching righteousness is a part of not refraining your lips, not teaching, well, we ain't going to teach this part because, or we ain't going to teach it like that because that's going to break up my congregation. Or we ain't going to teach that man can have multiple wives because if we teach that, then the woman in my congregation, they're not going to like that and that's going to break up my congregation. You refraining your lips from what the truth is, right? Oh Lord, thou knowest. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. So you know this is a righteous thing, but you're hiding it in your heart. I have declared my faithfulness in thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness, right? So it says I have not concealed the loving kindness, right? But watch this. In thy truth, meaning what's the truth? This whole book. Meaning I have not concealed anything that's in this book that makes up what we call the truth from the great congregation. Withhold not thou thy tender mercies from me, O Lord. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continually preserve me. Right? So you want the truth to preserve you. But you can't hide the truth, man. You teaching the truth here and there, but then you hiding some parts that you know to be, right? So that's what we're gonna see. And that's how we're warning the people of what's to come. And then like this video, I give you examples of showing you real life things and real life people that's out there that's breaking it down. Now for Esau, right? Um, all hell's gonna break loose in America, right? It's gonna be man against man, people against people, city against city, gang against gang, um, people against the National Guard. You're gonna have just on all fronts, right? You're gonna have women versus man, the young versus the old, right? They use that against us. You can read the Willie Lynch letters. They use that against us in slavery. Now that's going to come back around to them, right? That's definitely going to come back around to them. But amongst that fighting, Esau going to get taken out in the streets of America. When he don't have his military, because his military is in the Middle East fighting in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh's on judgment, right? And then the National Guard is destroyed, the FBI is destroyed, the CIA destroyed, the regular white or Edomite militias, they're not going to have no chance without that help coming in to help them, which is what always has to happen. They get in a fight, they end up getting their ass whooped, and then the National Guard comes in and saves them. But when the National Guard is not there to save them, it's going to be all hell. Obadiah 1 verse 18. In the house of Jacob should be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. So the Israelites, the blacks, Latinas, Native Americans in the Venezuelans, right? In the house of Esau for stumble. So in America, the blacks and native and the browns are gonna be like so-called blacks, so-called browns are gonna be like a fire and a flame in America. When the National Guard is not there and the police forces took down, they're just gonna be running around creating hell and fighting. It says in the house of Esau is gonna be for a stumble, meaning that the Edomites, which you call Caucasian people today, they're gonna lose. They're gonna be destroyed, even in America. It says, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there should not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has stumbled. Because this is going to lead even to the kingdom when the Lord comes back, and then give the so-called blacks and browns, the children of Israel, even more power, right? And then the Edomites that are left, they're going into slavery, into captivity, and then eventually they're going to be completely wiped out because they're not as strong as a people as we are. We went into slavery and we endured through it, right? They can't do the same thing as us. We're the only people on earth that could go through the type of slavery we went through and endure through it. They're not going to make it, right? That's where you get he got hit like I got hit, but he ain't breathe. That's where you get that at, because they gonna get hit like we got hit, but they ain't gonna make it. You see what I'm saying? So Revelations 2, because I'm just in the spirit. This Bible a little bit different, so I'm trying to navigate through it. Right, verse 21, 25. But that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as a vessel of the potter should they be broken and shivers, even as I received of my Father. With that, I'm going to say salvation to the elect. Shalom.